你才是神的粉丝。
Alright, I am going to go ahead and get started. Can everybody hear me and see the stream?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Alright, so first thing I'm going to be going over is how to play options and choose contracts. I know one person asked me about this. This won't take very long. This is very simple the way I do it. So it doesn't really matter what example I use. I'll just use NVIDIA. So literally all I do to choose a contract, then like pick the contract I'm gonna buy when doing a play. Very simple. So I pretty much buy weekly contracts on any play I do. Maybe I'll buy 2 weeks out on a monthly if it's like towards the end of the week, but 99% of the time I'll get weeklies, and I'll literally just buy whatever contract is at my target. So if I played NVIDIA, it would be a 160 8 put here. Okay, let's go to Roku. Actually, I just played Roku. It's probably better. Let's delete that. Alright, so for Roku, I did a 79 put because my target was 79.38, so that was closest to it. And obviously that target hit yesterday. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know about that. That part's pretty simple for me. I mean, it depends on how your strategy is, but that's for my strategy. It's very simple. I don't look at any of the Greeks, any of that nonsense. I keep it super simple, straightforward, and literally just buy whatever contract is at closest to my target. So moving on, I'm gonna go over how to play breakouts, like how I play some of my stocks. So I play solely on price action, and I use the Strat. That is what the strategy is called. It is called the Strat. There's some good YouTubers that you can watch if I don't explain things well, like Strat Sniper, Cyberdog, Alex Options. Those are some good ones. They all use a Strat. I watched all of them at some point, a couple videos, get an idea of how it works. I'm gonna show my indicator real quick. I know I get some questions on that. Here's one. This is not the one I use. Here's another here. The one I use is actually it's this one. Strat Assistant by Rick C. Carroll, and that's how it tells me like the time frames, like they're all red on Roku here, which is why I played puts on Roku. Because how I manage to win a lot and minimize the amount of losses I take is per the Strat, one important rule is time frame continuity. And so see how Roku is red on monthly, weekly, like every time frame. So if it's red on like every time frame above, then that means like if I wanted to play like a 5 minute, like let's go to like the hour. If I wanted to play the hour, I would probably only be playing the downside parts. Like if I was playing the hourly, I would probably enter, like let's just say I entered here. Like I would enter here and then see how it went down here. I would enter here because when it's red on higher time frames, that means that playing the downside will have a better chance of winning than if I were to, let's say, like enter down here and try to play the upside. It wouldn't work. It would have like a lower chance of working out. So time frame continuity is super important. That is one of my golden rules on how I don't lose much. I'm not gonna say don't lose at all. Don't lose much. Let's see. What else can I cover here? So, does anyone have any questions regarding the strat? Like how I play breakouts, how I find like the stocks I trade, any of that? Any questions on that? No? Okay. Let's see. I want to do this like later into the video. I'm planning on doing, I have my TD pulled up. I'm gonna like do like a little live charting just so you guys can see like how long it takes me usually to get all my plays for the next day. Usually I only spend like 10 or 15 minutes doing that. It's really quick. Doesn't take me much time at all with the scanners I have. If you use anything other than Thinkorswim, I'm sorry, I can't really help you with how to get scanners like I have. If you have Thinkorswim, I can send my Google Doc on all the scanners I use for, this is only for the Strat though. I don't know how well it would work with like other stuff. I didn't make these scanners. My friend who also trades the Strat sent them to me, and I don't know where he got them from, so I can't help you if you're doing anything other than Thinkorswim. Okay, I got one question here. Do you play inside candles differently from downside continuations? Okay. So, I don't play them differently. I just play inside candles a lot more. So, for instance, for Roku is not an inside candle. I was basing my play off the monthly. So, the low of last month was this 83.72. Okay. And the next monthly target was the 79.38. So that was my monthly target. This was a continuation play, and so since I hit that target, I mean on this one I sold a little bit before the target, but usually I would wait for that target to hit and then sell. And then depending on how far, I'll maybe sell some before it hits the target, just in case. But for this one, you can see it clearly hit that target for Roku. The reason I like inside candles the best to trade rather than like continuations, I do trade continuations, I just don't trade them as often. I like inside candles like this one. What are all these lines? I don't remember having all that. But I like trading continuations like this one here, because when it's an inside candle, it has like, that means like there's like buyer and seller indecision that day. So then usually when the candle breaks after an inside, it results in a bigger move, and then an even bigger move if it's a double inside bar. So that's why I like doing inside bars, because they work out better than continuation plays for the most part, kind of. But you don't have to just trade inside bars. That's just my preference, although I do both. Because as you can see here, for today's plays, I only really found two I liked, which was Walmart and NVIDIA. Walmart hit both targets here. I didn't play either of these today, but Walmart hit both targets. And NVIDIA, I did look at NVIDIA in a day. I saw this one was a bit tricky of a play, I won't lie. I saw it was hovering here for a long time, like it broke like barely, and then it went back up and stayed here for a while, and then like towards the end of the day, it went down and went past the target, so that one could have probably shaked some people out. But yeah, just trust the targets, never hit like my stop loss, which probably would have been like here, possibly. I usually don't really just set a stop loss. I mean, you should. I don't. I just trade high confidence plays and win them, I guess. It's kind of my risk tolerance. I'll go more into depth than that later on. Risk management. Okay, also, do you just by the moment the underlying hits the price you mark out, or do you wait? And do you use the stop loss? Okay, so when a stock breaks out, it is immediate. So I don't know if other brokerages have this. I'm assuming they do. But for example, on my Roku play, I bought it during a test. Like, I didn't watch it for like the first 10 minutes. I just got an alert on my Apple Watch. But for Thinkorswim, a really nice feature I found is I can set a buy order that literally will immediately buy, like market buy. Because if I do a limit, it usually won't work. So I just do market, and it'll usually, as soon as it like hits that point, it'll buy it for me, which is what I did with Roku. But yes, as soon as it passes, like for example, like as soon as it's past 170.25, I immediately got in. I don't wait, I don't watch it, I get in immediately. And do you use a stop loss? Kinda. I'll go more in depth into risk management stuff later. There are different ways people that use a Strat do one. I know the most popular stop loss method, like for example, if I'm doing the daily, most people will go to the hourly, like as soon as they enter. So it broke here. Yeah, so it broke here. So it broke here. So my stop loss would be here. most people go time frame down and then go to the previous candle to make their stop loss. That way it's a little bit tighter, because like if you did on the same time frame, it would be here instead of this 174.43. For me though, I don't like doing that, because yes, it can be a little safer. But I mean, I don't know when this happened, but let's just say this happened before it went down. That means your stop loss would have hit and you would have exited. Here you would be down a lot more, and yes, you would be down a lot more, but it didn't technically like hit your stop loss, so you're good. Like, I know my risk tolerance is pretty good. I remember like last month I had a friend following an Apple trade of mine, and it unexpectedly went down like 80%, and I was a little scared on that one too, but I held because I trusted myself on it, and I held through the next day, which I actually usually don't do, and then it ended up being up 150% the next day. So that is why I usually just kind of wait it out, because the thing is it never actually broke above like the previous candle. If it did, it definitely would have exited, just taken the L, but it didn't, so I decided to hold, which is why, although most people don't do this, if I do set a stop loss, it'll usually just be on the same time frame on the candle. So if I was playing puts, this 181.98 would be my my stop loss. Okay, let's see. Yeah, you're talking about the NVIDIA thing I was mentioning. So let me go to NVIDIA. I'm on NVIDIA. Yeah, so I did notice that. I was kind of touching up on that. I saw NVIDIA broke, and then it like stayed up here for a while, and then towards the end of the day, I actually went and hit my target. This could shake a lot of people out. I mean, this would definitely scare me a bit too, just seeing it stay here like all day and then towards the end of the day going out. I would just, on plays like this, I just watch them very carefully, because I didn't really look at this one that in depth. Let me look. So it broke here, and then it looks like it went down. Like, if you go to the hourly, Vincent, what time frame is that chart you sent on for NVIDIA? If you go to the hourly, nothing like after. I'm trying to wait my. Oh wait, okay, I see. I was looking at the wrong one. So yeah. So you get to the hourly, it broke here and then went up again, all the way back up here, stayed above. So yeah, stayed up here for a couple hours, and then once it rebroke, that's when it went to the target and stayed down. So yeah, I mean, this one is just kind of like you got to trust yourself a little bit here. I mean, yes, you would have been like profitable here, and then you'd be red all up here, and then once it broke down below again, then it actually pushed down lower and hit the target. So this trade, if you did take it on entry, it would still be green. It just wouldn't have been as clean and nice as like the Roku trade from yesterday, for example, which just went like straight down. I did a review on that one that I posted yesterday on my YouTube channel on like my thought process for Roku and why I traded that one. Okay. Any other questions? So, touching up on the managing risk for options, my way of managing risks in simple terms is just not losing. Say that in like the least cocky way as possible. But I trade only high confidence setups, okay? So what I mean by that is like one general like rule, I guess you can call it, for the strat is the higher the time frame, the higher the chances of that trade working out and like hitting its next target. So that's why when Roku broke out its monthly low, that's why it was such a clean trade, because it was a monthly break, So it was super clean, hit that target in one day. I mean, it was a pretty close target, so it's not surprising it hit in one day. I mean, this would be the second target if I was only looking at the monthly. Personally, because it is so far away, this is a point where I would go down to like a weekly and see here. This would be my next target. That way it's not as far, because chances of this hitting in like one day or even a week are very, very low, because that's a really far down target. So this would be my next level. So that's one thing I do also, is when I have a target that is super far off, like the next, like for my targets when they're super far off, I'll go down to a lower time frame than what the breakout I'm looking at is, and I'll mark my profit target there, and I'll usually just do that in like a white line or something to make myself know like that's a lower time frame target, just not to confuse myself. I like color code everything, which I hope makes my charts easier to read. If I'm playing puts, my downside targets are red, calls are green, and then blue line is always entry point. I don't really mark a stop loss. That's more up to you guys' interpretation for how y'all want to do that. That's why I never mark a stop loss, and I'm not very consistent with them, so that's another reason. But for the most part, I will sell like if the candle breaks, like for, I mean, this is a monthly, so the chances of happening are low, but like if the candle went up and broke above this, I mean, I definitely would probably get out. Apple on the 1 hour. Okay, so Apple on the 1 hour. So let's look at the upper time frames first. So we are red on the monthly, red on the weekly, red on the daily, of course. Okay, so for Apple, right off the bat, I'd be playing puts, 100%. So this was the start of the day. Actually, here, let me go. I'm gonna set this up how I play it. So this would be my entry here. Let me look. Yeah, because it's already red. It's already red. So I would have played the daily on Apple. It's actually a pretty good play. I didn't notice this one. This is a good play. I don't know what this yellow line is. Let me take that out. Okay. So I would have entered on this 152.93 break. And let me make my targets real quick. So this would be a target. Went pretty down. What would the next targets be? That would be a target. Yeah, this one went, let me go to the weekly for targets. It's a long way down today, huh? So yeah, this would be like, this is the last target it pretty much hit. I probably would have been all out before this, honestly. Actually, probably not, depending on how it moved. How did it move? Okay. Yes, prior day low for entry if I'm playing puts, and then vice versa for calls. I'd play the higher day high. So hourly, what's the day start here? So we're here, and then second, so it stays like the same first hour, and then second hour, that's when it breaks. I would have entered here, and then right away you get a little choppiness here. That wouldn't have scared me. It never broke above. It just kind of stayed red, so that's fine. That happened to Roku during the play too. Didn't scare me. We have an inside. That can be a good sign inside. If it stays inside, that means a break below, which it did, is going to be stronger, and you can see how strong that was. So if it broke above this inside, chances are I would have sold, just to be safer if it broke above this inside. Again, kind of depends on what I'm thinking that day, but it's probably smart to sell if it went above, but it didn't. It went down, and then boom, all those targets hit. I didn't have targets, so I guess the targets I just made hit, and it just like went down a lot. So this was actually a very good play. I did not see this one, and again, this was a continuation. So continuation plays work perfectly fine. It does not have to be an inside. I just typically play insides because they do usually end up being better. But actually, I think almost every play I've done on Apple, I've gotten over 100% on every Apple play I've ever done, and I'm pretty sure all of them have been continuation plays, if I think that's right. So Apple is definitely one of my favorite stocks to trade. Anything on this blue list here is kind of the list of my favorite stocks to trade that I've kind of compiled, that I feel like have really good movement. I just kind of keep them here. Okay. And yes, typically a stronger percent inside candle. That is correct, Ivan. Shares. Okay, so you can do the strategy with shares, stocks. You won't make as much, but I mean, that's just generally with stocks because, you know, they don't move as fast. You don't get like the high percentage gains. Like, for instance, like I've had times where I've traded like a 2% move on Apple and made like 150% off the options contract. That's why I love options so much more. It's a lot more opportunity to make money, but then again, everybody only focuses on that, not the part that where you can lose money just as fast. I think that's very important to recognize. Expiration time frame. I went over this earlier, but I'll go over it again. So time frame, 99% of the time I will do weeklies. So unless it's like a monthly breakout on a Friday, I don't really like holding contracts over the weekend, but maybe I'll buy a 2-week out contract. Probably not, honestly. I do not like holding over the weekend, but maybe I'll do that, maybe on like a Thursday or something. But for the most part, it is weeklies. And let's go back to, let's just do Roku, since I just traded that one. So the contracts I'll buy are, I don't look at anything else on my contracts. I keep it very simple. For Roku, I bought a 79 put because my target was 79.38. I buy the contract that is closest to my target. So for instance, NVIDIA, I would have bought a 168 put. That's what they had. That's what I would buy. Whatever is closest to my target. Walmart would be, I always do what is closest to my first target. If I have multiple targets, I think that I mark out, it'll always be my first target. So this would be like a 148 put here. So it's just whatever my first target is, that is the contract price I buy. Usually weeklies. I don't pay attention to the Greeks, any of that. The only time I avoid a play, looking at the contracts, if it has like a really crazy spread where like the bid is 20 cents and the ask is like 60 or something like that, like where it's really crazily spread out, then I won't get them because that's scary. So I usually avoid anything if I got high spread. And none of these here usually have like a high spread and they move really well, which is why I have them all marked as like my favorite ones to trade at the moment that I've traded. Okay. Any other questions? Average time I spend holding a position. It depends. I would say on average though, like a couple hours. I'm not the biggest fan of holding contracts overnight. The only time I hold contracts overnight is if it's like moving really, really good and I'm really confident it's going to continue. Holding options contracts overnight is always risky. So, if it's not moving too well and I'm profitable, I'll usually just take the profit and call it. But like, if I have runners, then I'll hold them overnight. But usually I don't hold my contracts longer than a day, or I'll at least always scale out during the day I buy a contract, because I'm not the biggest fan of holding them overnight, especially over weekends. I don't think I've ever held a contract over a weekend in the past like 5 months that I've only been using that strategy for 4 or 5 months. I can't remember. I have to look back at my trading log, but it honestly has not been that long, but it has by far been the most successful I've been trading using a strategy. I think my first month using a strategy, my win rate and average gain doubled from before I started a strategy. Before I started trading as a mechanic in my free time. Oh, okay, that's not a question. I thought breakouts was having a question. You know, off track, but I'm also a leaderboard player on COD breakouts. Site flex. I'm just gonna mention that out. Okay. Moving on. Any other questions here? New to the stream, explain the strategy again. Okay. I will explain the strategy again, just to reinforce what I've said, but I also want to let you guys know this is being recorded. It will be posted on my YouTube today. It'll probably take like 20-30 minutes to upload. Gives me an hour video about, and I'm gonna upload in like a high quality, that way you can actually see everything. So it'll probably take like 20-30 minutes after to upload this to YouTube, but I will, as soon as this is done, I will get that uploading. So let me see. Do any conditions invalidate the strat? Okay. Okay, so anything that invalidates the strat. Not necessarily, but I think this is a good time to go over like my golden rules of trading, which I think have made me have such a high win rate. Over the 4 or 5 months I've been using this strat. Double check how long I've been doing this for now. So one very important rule is never trade in an inside bar. I mean in an inside bar. I don't mean don't trade in an inside bar like for this example. That's fine. I mean, so see how this is an inside bar for this day? I would not be day trading on any lower time frame if this is inside, because an inside bar on lower time frames means choppiness. That is why I don't trade stocks if they're inside on the monthly, on the weekly. If it's an inside bar, like on the higher time frames, I do not trade it. I did break this rule a lot because SPY did stay in an inside bar past couple months for a while, and the markets were definitely choppier then. I just played a lot more careful then. So I have broken that rule. Don't recommend breaking that rule, but that is like one of the most important rules of the strat. That is what my friend who kind of introduced me to it always stresses: never trade in an inside bar, because it's going to be choppier and the chances of your trade working out are a lot less. So that is like golden rule number 1. Golden rule number 2, definitely time frame continuity. You want to trade like, so you time frame continuity is super important in my opinion. I think that is another thing that has minimized losses for me. So I will like, for instance, Walmart is red on the monthly, red on the weekly. I will never even think about trading up on this. Like, I wouldn't, if this, even though you could, it's just riskier. I wouldn't even bother wasting my time trading the break of this like 152 and going for this target here, because it's red on every other time frame. I would just follow the trend. And I mean, it went red here. I mean, it could have gone green, and there definitely are times where it will go green. I'll be honest, I miss out on a lot of good trades because I'm so picky, but that doesn't bother me at all. I don't care because I win all my trades pretty much, and I'm still doing fine. There's always gonna be missed opportunities in the market. That's how it works. Don't stress over it. When I first started, it definitely bothered me when I'm like, oh man, I could have gone in and that would have been great, but definitely get out of that mindset. It's a bad mindset to have. As long as you're profiting, it doesn't matter. So I'm very picky with that. I only trade with time frame continuity. Said inside bar, said time frame continuity. Are there any other golden rules, like really important things to cover? I think those are like the only two. I mentioned this earlier, but the higher the time frame, the higher the chance of that trade working out. So if I'm trading a break on a monthly, the like chances of that being like a profitable trade are a lot higher than a breakout on a weekly. A weekly is higher than a daily, daily is higher than a monthly, and so forth. Get the idea. The higher that is the reason. That is another thing that I haven't really covered. I only trade daily and above. So daily, weekly, monthly, that is the only time frames I trade. The reason for that is because those work out the most out of like any other time frame because they're the higher ones, obviously. I find scalping to be a bit of a waste of time for me personally. I don't go for those small gains. I trade with more money per trade, like more percentage of my portfolio per trade, and go for slightly bigger gains than what scalping would go for, and just trade a lot less. Trading is not something I do full time at all. Is just a side hustle. I developed my style of trading to be very passive. I spend like 15-20 minutes at night charting out my plays with my scanner and trading view, and that is literally it. After that, I just look. If they break out, I enter. If they don't, just call it a day. That is literally it. If I'm really bored, if I haven't done a play in a long time, I will get a little impatient and I will scalp SPX sometimes. But that is pretty rare. I've only done that a few times. I usually just am pretty patient. I mean, that has to be like where I haven't traded for a whole month or something to where I'll get to the point where I'm scalping. But, yeah. Any other questions? Alright, I feel like I've covered everything I can think of. I think what I'm going to do now is, if you have any questions, ask me. I am going to chart my plays for tomorrow. That way you guys can kind of see the process of it. I don't think I can show both monitors at the same time, so I'm just going to have my Thinkorswim on my other monitor and scan them and just type the charts and have my trading view shown. I mean, you don't really need to see the Thinkorswim portion. It's just a literal 2 clicks of a button, a scan. Okay, so we have large cap inside daily high breakout. So we have 4 potential stocks for those. First one is Coca-Cola. We're on an inside month, skipping that one. That is how picky I am. T, inside month, skipping that one. WA, down on the monthly, inside on the weekly, skipping this one. Let's see, MTCH, got some nice red candle on the monthly, nice red candle on the weekly, and daily is inside. This one is very close to the next target. What did I just close? Okay. So this would be, it's not that great of a target. This is like really far back. This is one where I just sit here and think, do I want to trade this? And then got some pretty far off targets here. This is one I'd probably just pretty okay setup. This is one I'd probably just pass over. I don't know if I like that one too much. Targets are pretty close. Alright, now we're just gonna go into inside mega cap. Alright. IBM inside. Nope. Below. This is pretty close to an all-time high. I would probably only play like a downside reversal from monthly on here. I wouldn't really go for the all-time high play on this, so this is one I would just avoid for that reason. JPM red. Okay. Bit of a hammer curl. I got a 3-1 here. This is a decent one. Pretty close target. Still. This is like a, this is an okay setup. Let's see. So this would be the next downside target here. This one's alright. I mean, we got the 3-1. This is one I'll add to my watch list. This is potential play. Not something I'm in love with, but it's decent. SPGI. Got a gap down on the monthly here. Gaps down on the weekly as well. Oh shoot, how long have I been muted for? My hotkey for mute is V, so I must have clicked V when I was typing in one of the... My bad. Alright, I didn't really say anything super important, so it's fine. I just said JPM is a decent setup, so I added this one. It's not anything I'm crazy about. Targets are still pretty close, but right on all time frames, got a hammer, 3-1 setup. Those are the best, although it is pretty close to the downside anyway, so that's why I did that one. What was I on? SPGI. Gonna make sure I don't mute myself anytime I click V. So this one's gapped down a lot. This is another pretty close target. This is probably one I'll just probably just stay away from this one, honestly. I think I'll just stick with the JPM thing setup over that. Wait, that's an O. Red weekly, red monthly. Got a bit of a hammer on that daily. Okay, this is alright. I just wanted to watch. This isn't bad. MDB and snow are the last two. This part on the scanner. Yeah, lots of puts will be played by me this month over calls because everything's kind of already broken down red. So you'll definitely notice a lot more puts being played by me. After hours and pre-market don't matter, as long as they don't gap down. If they gap down, I don't play. That's another thing I should forgot to mention. Thanks for kind of reminding me of that. If something gaps, like, let me go to, let's go to Roku, I guess. So let's say Roku opened at like 83.5 or something, like it gapped down below my entry, like on the open or something. I wouldn't play it unless it went back up down to my entry. Maybe I'd get in, but I never chase, so if it's not at my entry, I won't enter it. All right, MDB is a lot of these are like very, very close to the downside target. I think this is another one where I would just prefer the other two setups. I mean, that's like, it's pretty close. It's really similar to the other two also. Their hammer very close. I mean, I'll add it now. And snow. Okay. Down on weekly, down on monthly, so yeah, all these setups are very similar to them. All hammers, hammer candles on today with like an inside hammer, very close to breaking below, but not quite there. This is one I won't trade. Lots of things popping up on the scanner today, though. Let's look at this one. I'm not gonna look at all these. It's a lot. Oh, actually, this could be a good one. Hold on. Okay. This is pretty far off its target. I think I would just go all out on this one here. This is already a Thursday. I think this would just be my target here and then done. I like that one. That could be good. Let's look at JPM and PPG. Red, I don't know how I like candle structure. I think I would take the other play over. Yeah, I think I would probably take this one over that one. The other one was JPM that I said, right? Or is this the one I just charted? Why did I just chart it already? Oh, I had it in my watch list already. Okay, that's why. Let's look at these two, and then I'm gonna move on. GSBLCK. Red, red. Also, make sure if you're charting, another thing I didn't mention, make sure you're getting the wick of the candle, not the actual like candle. Always make your points on the wick. Probably stick with the other setup over this one and be okay for the last one. Okay. Red. Okay. This is another like decent one. It's like the next weekly target would be there. I don't know if that would hit. Add this one. Yeah, there's like no good place for calls though. There's a double inside. Got a couple double insides. I'm only looking at this one now because I already know the other one's not very good in this inside month. So now let's look at inside weeklies. If you have any inside weeklies, that's not a good one. Okay, no inside weeklies. I already saw those. Those are all not gonna be good. I think those are the only setups for tomorrow. Still more than I've found all week though. Yeah, let me go ahead and close out of this. There's one more I'll take a look at. Probably not gonna be good. I don't know if I looked at this one yet. Yeah, no, okay. So we got JPM was on it, so 5 potential plays kinda. They're really all the same exact setup. Doesn't mean they're all gonna do the same exact thing tomorrow, but yeah, they're all pretty identical. UNP has the best target. It's not on the wick. UNP has the farthest like first target. Snap, okay. So yeah, we're red on all time frames. Let's look at what the monthly targets would be. We're almost approaching another monthly target there. Because this one, well, this would have been the next one. And then this here. This is another strong target. So enter here. And what is that? It's one random red candle. Okay. Then enter there. And yeah, those targets I just did are pretty much the next targets you could use. I'd probably just use those 2 targets, honestly. Looks like a pretty good setup, I would say, for a continuation play for Snap. If it breaks below 21.7, I think it should easily be able to hit that 21.44 target. So yeah, not a bad play. 21.44 is the next target for a weekly. Actually, there is this one right here, a little bit higher. I guess you could use 21.53. Yeah, I didn't notice that one. But yeah, it looks like a pretty good setup. It would definitely hit the first target if it breaks below that 21.7. Alright, well, I have finished charting my plays for tomorrow, so y'all kind of get an idea of what I do charting. So does anybody have any other questions regarding anything? So there's no questions. I think I will just end it here. I've pretty much went over everything I could think of. If you have any questions regarding the strat, playing options, anything like that, just DM me or at me in a chat, so I'll respond. Don't see any other questions. I think I'm just gonna go ahead, end it here.